Many years ago, in in 1953, a mountaineer called Edmund Hillary, along with Sherpa Tenzing Norgay, climbed Mount Everest for the first time. How many people climb Mount Everest now every year? Lots. So much so that there are chocolate bar wrappers. There's littering on Mount Everest. There's so many people. So why was it such a big deal when Edmund Hillary did it in 1953? And the answer is because nobody believed it could be done. Once it was shown that it could be done, everybody is able to do it. The same thing is true for running a mile in 4 minutes. In the month of May 1954, Roger Bannister became the first human being to run a mile in under 4 minutes. People didn't believe it could be done, and so nobody did it. So much so that when he broke through the tape at 3 minutes 59 seconds, he fell down on the grass. Everyone said, "Oh, he's died." Because doctors said, "Hey, the running a mile in 4 minutes, they'll kill you." Well, athletes run a mile in 4 minutes every day. Everyone does it today. Why? Because now we know it can be done. It's a lot like that with making money too. When you know how this works, when you look and you see, okay, look at all these Jewish people in good countries, bad countries, good times, bad times, in depressions, in abundance, and yet they always make money. Why? Because they're using the fundamental principles from the Bible, the time-tested tips, tools, and techniques, and it works for them. Then you know it can work for you. You know that it's possible. You just have to completely change your thinking, and you've got to adjust your attitude entirely so as that you understand that money is spiritual, that it's all about serving other people. It's not what you want. I know you want money, but you don't, that'll come by itself. You've got to focus on finding a way to make other people's lives better. And you've got to understand that in serving other people, you're also serving the Lord. For those of us with faith, we have to understand that taking care of God's other children is exactly what he wants us to do. And so please understand, I want to stress, I am absolutely not saying, we must pray to God for money. I'm not saying that at all. Because you can pray to God for a Mercedes-Benz, and then when you don't get one, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to say, "Oh, God didn't listen to my prayers." Yeah, he did. He said no. I'm not giving you a Mercedes because you're a selfish person. All you care about is what you want. That's not how this works. But when God sees us filling his request that we connect with other people, and we collaborate with other people, and we help other people, why would it surprise us that a good and loving God should reward us with the great blessing of financial abundance? And that's what Genesis 2 verse 18 means, where God says, "Not good for man to be alone." Now, a lot of people think that this just means God says, well, I better create it for Adam. But it's much more than that. The ancient Jewish wisdom teaches that Hebrew text is actually telling us a whole lot more. It's actually telling us that God says, I don't want my children disconnected from each other. Now, again, if you're a parent with children, then you will know what I'm talking about. And that is, we hate to see our children squabbling with each other. We love to see our children helping each other and acting towards one another with love. That's what we like. And my children used to squabble, and I remember the certain point where they reached a certain age, and all of a sudden they're helping each other and doing things for each other and spending time with each other. And my wife and I were filled with joy. Our Father in heaven is exactly the same. When we take care of one another and we serve one another, yes, I know you're hoping to make money out of it, obviously, but the action is that you are taking care of the needs of other people. And that's really what being in business is all about. You might call it market research, but what you really are doing is finding a way to please God's other children. You take care of your employees. Now, you might say that's human resources, but it isn't. It's taking care of God's other children. You might say, well, I'm going to look after my vendors. I'm going to pay them on time. Well, you're making it possible for God's other children to live. It's a good thing. And so money is the mechanism that makes this all work, but what is at the heart of it is a love for God's other children. Yes, I love my customers. I do. And I love the people who work for me. Absolutely. And money is part of it. But this isn't all about money. This is all about the relationships. And that's why it is that one of the most reliable indicators of financial success is the number of people who think of you as a friend. And I am not talking about Facebook friends, my friend. Please don't make that mistake. I'm talking about real friends. And one of the things we all ought to be doing is trying to get a new friend every month. Make a new friend. Greet people. Talk to people. Ask them questions. Try and find ways to do other people favors. Like, when was the last time you actually sat to try and think to yourself, how can I help my friend Janet? How can I help my friend Tom? My friend Tom's got a kid who loves soccer, loves football. I think I'm going to get him a couple of tickets for a football game. That's what think of ways to do good things for other people, because that's how you build your relationships and you expand your friendships. That's what we have to be doing, because that's the whole goal. Not good for man to be alone. God wants us to connect with our fellow human beings, and he wants us to find ways to serve them and help them. And then the money is a separate thing. The money is part of this blessing of abundance that God provides those who follow his wishes in this area. The primary wish is to serve other people and to connect with other people. That is what at basic root is what's so important. Let me pause for a moment. We don't have a lot of time left. We have only a few minutes left, but let me see if there are any questions that anybody would like to ask or raise, anything that anybody would like to touch on, and I'm happy to do that. And if not, we have maybe just another 5 minutes for me to tackle one other aspect of ancient Jewish wisdom on the question of financial abundance. Why is it that if I ask you, what are the things you should be doing and what are the things you should not be doing, you would be able to answer me. You would say, I need to get up early in the morning. I need to go to work. I need to find a new job. I've got to save some money so I can start my own business. What are the things you should not do? I should not waste time watching television or watching videos. I should not be wasting time doing those things. I should not be eating unhealthy foods. I should be exercising. You would be able to give me quite a long list of all the things you should be doing that would improve your life, and all the things that you should not be doing because they harm your life. And now I say to you, I want you to be absolutely honest with me. What percentage would you give yourself score on how well you're doing on all the things you told me? You told me all the things you should be doing. How many of them are you doing? 100%? I don't think so. How about all the things you should not be doing? How many of those are you doing? I'd like to say 0. Is that true? No, it isn't true. So why is there a gap between the things that you know you should do and the things you're actually doing? Why is there a gap between the things you should not be doing and the ones you are doing? And the answer is because of something called willpower. And here again, ancient Jewish wisdom is very helpful, explaining that inside of us, each one of us has two competing forces pulling with one another. One force pulls us downwards. One force tries to resist our attempts to improve our life. And the other part of us is pulling upwards. It's trying to make us healthier. It's trying to make us wealthier. It's trying to give us better family connections and better friendships and more faith. And the other side is trying to pull us down, getting us to waste our time, waste our body, waste our health, waste our friends, waste our family. And it's a case of how do we make the right side of us win? And so I would like to provide you with a tool, because knowing what to do is only a small part of the challenge. Knowing what not to do, only a small part of the challenge. The main part is actually doing what we should do and avoiding what we shouldn't. The way to do this is to give ourselves small victories. So, for instance, let us say that we know we should be exercising, and we are exercising, but we want to quit. We say to ourselves, I'm going to do another 10 minutes and then I'll quit. Look at the clock, and just another 10 minutes. So you're making yourself do a little bit more than the other part of you wants. Let's imagine you say, I really want to eat that big chocolate cake. Instead of saying to yourself, no, you say to yourself, not for another 10 minutes and not the whole, just half. In other words, you start off by giving yourself small victories, because small victories lead to bigger victories all along. And so don't set, if you struggle with willpower, if you struggle with procrastination, a tendency to want to postpone things that you should do instead of doing them now, then the best thing to do is to start off giving yourself small victories. Small victories, because a small victory this week means a bigger victory next week. And the bigger victory next week means an even bigger victory the week after that. And so work on developing your willpower. Work on developing your ability to self-discipline yourself, to do what you should be doing when you should do it. Because when you think about it, that is one of the great keys to success. To do what you know you should be doing when you know it should be done. And that way, if you are able to implement these things we're talking about, if you're able to focus on this idea that money is spiritual, it flows. You don't have to reach out and grab it. It flows when you serve other human beings. And remembering that it is spiritual, and that's why it behaves that way. And remembering that things work when you look for ways to help other people. When you focus on trying to serve other human beings. And when you try and build your self-discipline, build your willpower, so as that you can conquer procrastination and you can defeat this enemy that resists every good thing you're trying to do. It's a gradual process, takes a little bit of time, but it is something that you are able to achieve eventually.